Thank you for joining us on Revolutionary Health this evening. We are really excited today to talk about pop culture and
Yeah.
brands and just like the way the world works now. We just wanted to kind of leave it a little open.
Hmm.
If you're joining us on Facebook Live, please be sure to like us on Facebook and also comment. We'd love to hear your comment and just be in conversation. We don't get to your comments, please don't get mad at us. We'll do our best to get to everyone's comments. And also feel free to tweet us at Building Desire on Twitter.
Hmm.
And we'll also be following Twitter too if you want to leave a comment there or respond. And finally, please join our email list at thecounternarrative.org. And I'm joined with,
Hey, everybody. This is Johnny Ray Kornegay the third, and I am the Mobilization Director with the Counter Narrative Project.
let's see, who do we have with us this evening? Let me put my computer on mute. We have uh, Michael Anthony with us. We have James Lester.
Hey, James.
All right, y'all. So we were talking right before we went live about, we started talking about like pop culture
Yes.
and what's happening with
Yeah.
music, especially.
Hmm.
And we started talking about everyone being a brand now. Like everyone's a brand.
Everyone's a brand.
Everyone's a brand. Everything's a brand. And just trying to figure out what that means. Um, am I a brand?
You are a
I don't
brand.
think I
I
am.
want you,
See, I don't want to be a brand
but
though.
see, I want you to. I actually, okay. So and I know that we'll get into this, but I really would love to see you lean into like the Charles Stevens brand. Like
Mm-mm,
you live it and you walk it every day. And I
mm-mm.
think, we could put you in a shiny suit
Oh
and have you
no.
drop some bars on a song. And
Maybe yeah, that sounds like a good idea. So what do y'all think about, are you a brand? How do you brand yourself?
Mhm.
And what are the implications of that? Like if you see yourself as a brand, can you have real relationships?
Mhm.
If you see yourself as a brand, does it get in the way of you being authentic? Because you're always thinking, imagine like I'm on brand. And I don't want to just be critical of it. I want to be open. But it's just that I hear a lot of people referring to themselves as being a brand in their brand, and I'm just wondering, what does that mean for our community?
Mhm. I have a story. I'm formerly J Ray.
Okay, formerly J Ray.
Formerly J Ray. I still, of course, use the J Ray as the name, like
Okay.
because it applies to my name, right? So my name is Johnny Ray. Um, but at the time when I created that moniker, it was because I felt it was important to brand myself
Mm,
in a particular way as an artist. And it's only been in the last year and a half that artistically I have decided to just be who I am. So I'm
mm,
just Johnny Kornegay. But the initial part of that was like, okay, I need to brand J Ray. And so what came with branding J Ray was where I showed up, how often I showed up,
mm.
who, what I was wearing when I showed up, what pictures
Oh
was I
wow,
in when I showed
that
up.
sounds really stressful.
It was really, now here's the thing, I was having a good time. I was having a good time, and it's funny, like I look back now at kind of that 3-year period of cultivating that brand and recognize how much that cost me in terms
Mhm.
of money, and how much you do get wrapped up in where you go and how you go there and who you and all of these things. So I guess between 2012 and 2015, it was really all about just trying to figure out what J Ray was about.
I see Antoine Maxwell just joined us.
Hey there.
Alvin, what do you think about it? Alvin's in the studio.
Yes.
What do you think? Are you a brand?
I think begrudgingly, I'm definitely a brand. Um, I think I'm much more interested in the work
Hmm.
than the brand, but I realize that being a brand is necessary to push the work
What's your brand?
forward.
What's
Um,
Alvin Algarat's brand?
Revolutionary.
Revolutionary
Mm,
filmmaker. That's amazing.
yeah.
You have a comment?
Hmm.
I think so. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, it's about what you communicate or what people say about you
Hmm.
when you were not around. That's true.
It's very
That's
true.
very real. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it definitely makes you more self-aware.
Hmm.
I think it makes you more. I mean, ideally, I guess more intentional about perhaps how you treat people and so forth.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think that was an interesting comment too, because I think, we're of course talking about the idea of brand in this, in our like hyper, our celebrity kind of social media context.
Yeah.
But I always thought of my brand. So I always thought of myself as having a brand even in corporate America,
Okay.
but that was based on how I interacted with
Mhm.
people and the work that I was doing. So
Mhm.
it wasn't something that I was trying to push necessarily. It was just something you embodied.
Okay. So I guess is it in corporate America? Is there more pressure to kind of see yourself as a brand and operating that way? I think I definitely think about it as being a very entrepreneurial, but in the
it
context of
I think definitely. So when I think back to folks that I knew that were able to climb the ladder in a particular
mm,
way, they definitely, even though they may not say that they had a brand, it was
mm,
very clear that okay, this person is together with how they show up in a room or what they have on
mm,
or how they are moving within companies,
okay.
that even if they wouldn't say that they had a brand, they had a
I see Randy has joined us. Hey, Randy. So we're just talking about why everybody is a brand now.
brand.
Like, and I can't even remember the first time I became aware of this like obsession with
Mhm.
people seeing themselves as a brand and being very concerned about their brand and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Alvin
Kardashian.
said it was the Kardashians that started the whole trend about being a brand. Is that true? Do y'all think that?
I think and I also think it reality
Weren't the
TV.
Kardashians?
Yeah,
Mm.
Let's think about it. Who were they back then?
right,
Why would we want to keep up with them?
right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I remember, when the social when reality TV, like when I think of like the when I think of shows like The Real Housewives in particular,
Mm.
because I remember how that show would show like everyday Atlantis, like people that you might see or might interact with, but all of a sudden they're on the show and
Mm.
now they have a level of celebrity.
Oh yeah.
So there was like, okay, there's all this stuff that now comes with that because there's like they were a regular person yesterday, but now on Sunday they were on this show,
Yeah.
and now people recognize
Daniel joined us. Hey,
them. Hey,
Daniel. So, what is your brand, folks? Let us know in the comments how you see your brand and how it's impacted your relationships and how you move through the world. Yeah, I know. I refuse. I just can't see myself in that way. It just seems so
Mhm.
strange to me. Like a picture, like a yeah. I can't even think about myself that way. I just want to be like I really just want to be myself, and I just
Yeah.
want to show up and not feel constrained
Mhm.
about it. And I guess maybe it's probably an extension of like the '80s and what was it 1980s where it was like very status oriented and that
Mhm.
kind of stuff and
Yeah.
image oriented. I don't know.
I often resist. I was talking to the both of you about this. I often resist thinking of myself as a brand or having a brand or whatever. But I also recognize that I do. Out, and figuring out how to
So
balance
what are you
it.
selling?
So it's a combination of things. So selling my art, of course, selling services and consulting services to folks, selling hope. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Are
That
you
you can
selling it? Do
make
people
it.
buy it from you?
People do buy the
So
art
they
and
hit
people do buy the consulting
they hit. Oh, I
services.
meant the
Yeah.
hope part.
Oh, I don't know if people. Well, you know what?
Do they
I
hit?
can
They
say
hit the cash
they don't
app,
hit the
but
cash.
they need
You
some
know
hope.
what? You know what? No shade. No shade. And I think um, I'm so grateful that I have had folks hit the Cash App
Okay.
just
Do you have
because.
cash app for real?
I
You mean that
do.
literally? Okay.
Literally, I have had folks hit the Cash App and do a
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
just because. So yeah, that is a very real thing. So I'm grateful to all the folks that support. Now that said, right, I don't always do a good job of keeping up with people, and I don't do a
Mm.
good job of, sending out information on what I'm doing.
Do
And
you have a
people,
newsletter yet?
I do have a newsletter, but it is so inconsistent. I just sent one out yesterday, and people have been talking to me about it
Nice.
over the last couple of days, and but I don't do it nearly enough. It's, you know how busy it is. It's like, and but yes. So in
What
that
about
case,
what about when your relationship is your brand?
ooh, I don't
Does it what is that hard,
know.
you think?
I would think that was hard. I would think that's hard because it's hard enough being in a relationship.
Oh yeah.
And now I have definitely built businesses with partners
Hmm.
before, but it's not like making the relationship the business. I don't
Hmm.
know that. I know people that make that work.
Then folks are trying to take sides on the brand.
Yeah,
Brand breaks up.
that ain't right. Because if
Who
the
gets the
band breaks up,
followers?
right, I don't know.
Who gets custody
Right.
of the social media following?
Yeah, I don't know that that's for me. I love that folks do it and make it work for them. I don't know that that's for me, but I will say, since we mentioned the Kardashians, one of the things that I find so interesting now is realizing that Kanye West is on like reality
Oh, I'm
TV.
not gonna comment on that.
I'm like,
I'm not gonna comment on that.
it's just
But
so
he was on there. He was on
interesting.
there Saturday. I heard a rumor that he was on there last Sunday. Um, Not that I would watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but I heard from an unnamed source. People were talking. I heard in the streets that he shows up. And you know, Nicki Minaj was on Black Ink Chicago. Was it,
Really,
or one of the Black Inks?
really,
Um, but yeah, so
wow.
you know, perhaps at one point to appear on a reality show might have been seen as not positive for someone's
Mm.
brand if they, but maybe now it's a way to get access to viewers. So.
It
Mhm.
did, and we love her.
But some of them work it out really well. Like K Michelle, I think has leveraged her reality show
She has
stuff to really build.
Nene.
Yeah, Nene. But I
They're
mean, like K Michelle already had like a fan base and
right.
talent, and it just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how I found out about her through Love and Hip Hop.
Yep.
Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when she was on there.
Nope.
But yeah, so tell us, like, what's your brand?
What's your brand? I'm really curious to know what
And how
folks'
have you built?
brand
And how have you
is.
built your like? How do you build your? So if I want to be a brand, build a
Mhm.
brand. If I want to be a brand, how do I build? So does it mean I get on Instagram and I get some followers and stuff? I guess I have to like, how do you?
I'm curious to know, like, okay, so I have one of the things I think it's important to have the work.
Mm,
That's a So for me, Johnny Kornegay, personally, I think it's really important to have some work
mm.
or have something that you do.
That's very judgmental.
No, 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 no. I'm saying I think that's important for me personally, but I mean, there are some people who like fake it till you make it is a real thing. Like if I say enough times that, I'm this thing, then you can potentially become that thing.
See, I don't think that worked though, because I think eventually you get found
I
out,
do think you get found. I think you do.
and then you go to Oz and
It
realize,
depends on if you're actually working. You can't fake till you make it if you're working all behind the scenes. If you just stay faking it, it's gonna come out.
Yeah, I like
mm,
that. So Alvin's point was, hey, if you stay faking it, it's going to come out. But if you're like really working behind the scenes, then it catch like all things. Like it's like, okay, how do these two things align
mm,
and come together? Um, but I think, yeah, the first for me personally, like the first thing is like it comes down to the work and what that work say.
mm,
Because and it's not even about, and here's the important part too, and this is really real. It's not even about being like excellent at it. If you're like, listen, consistently doing it and you are good, there's a lot of things you can build on that brand. Because so often people will be like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, you be great. Yes, be great, but keep working.
mm,
I think that's important to building a brand. Just keep
mm.
working and keep learning too. Like, um, and I'm seeing some comments come in. So Randy just said, as an artist, uh, as an artist, I have the laziest brand. My art brand is talking long Sade breaks and creating at some point. It's taking long Sade breaks and creating at some point. Listen, and here's the thing that I know about the art. that comes out of you is that it's beautiful. Like, and we're always asking for more of it. So it's what you make. And we
Mm.
can make our brands whatever we choose to make them.
Oh, I think it's seven. Says I'm in corporate. I'm in corporate, and we have a brand new training curriculum. Even pivoting from brand, people now want to be an influencer too. Oh, an influencer. So yeah, we should talk about like being an influencer. How
Ooh,
do you get to be an influencer?
I am really, I've seen influencers move.
Uh huh.
And the only thing that I can say, like the influencers that I know and the ones that are good,
Hmm.
one, they are incredibly likable.
They get to sell tummy tea on Instagram too.
Yeah,
What do they
right.
call the little tummy?
They can do that. The ones that I know who are influencers are like super likable.
Yes.
They are everywhere where
Mm-hmm.
something cool is happening. And
Mm-hmm.
you might not think, and I've definitely met folks, I'm like, I'm surprised that you're here. And then you look around and be like, no, I'm not. This would
Yeah.
be the perfect place for you.
That can sound shady though if you're not careful.
They work so hard to
Yes.
build that.
What you call was an old school influencer? I'll give him his props. Diddy.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
I remember Diddy back at Howard University. That boy
Wow.
stayed for local parties.
Yep.
He moved to New York. He interned, promoted more parties, did stuff. He almost fell flat when he did that party at City College. And some people got killed when they got trampled.
I heard about
Mm.
this. Yep.
Yeah.
Randy says, I think reality stars made it more common to believe that you can be a brand without a corporate association. That's true.
That
I
is
hear
true.
that.
Yep.
I don't see myself as a brand. However, I realize that I may present myself in a way that says, that's Randy. That is true. I think there actually is a Randy brand.
There is a Randy
I think
brand.
you're a brand. You need to
Mhm.
embrace it.
Definitely are.
Daniel asks, is this shade? No.
No,
actually,
it is not shade.
I genuinely admire people that can do it. Like, I mean, I guess what I wanted to communicate is that I think it's a lot of work
Mhm.
to see your, to really, I think it's a lot of work to be that like disciplined.
Not only disciplined, but if you are an introvert, as we both are, being a brand requires you to do things that are contrary to our nature in so many
Mhm.
ways. And man, that is a commitment.
Oh yeah, because it's like, ugh, especially trying to be an influencer, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I would think. I mean, but I admire it because I think it does require sacrifice, and it requires
Yes.
you have to make a set of choices. Um, I think it also requires mm, being able to like not being into instant gratification, like having
Right.
delayed gratification.
Yes.
So I definitely admire people that can do it.
Mhm.
Honestly, Seven says Jay and Beyonce is the masterclass of brand-based relationship.
They are.
um, I mean, I definitely think they inspire a lot of people. I
Mhm.
mean, I think they're the poster children for Black love in many ways. And
Mhm.
I mean, I will say there's something very inspiring with seeing two very successful Black people be in this, sort of very powerful relationship. So
Yep.
I definitely agree.
Mhm.
Randy says Cardi B definitely used her brand to elevate.
Mhm.
And what I also admire about Cardi B is that people root for her.
Yes.
Like I don't know if I've ever seen in my lifetime someone that had such a meteoric
Mhm.
rise to fame and just have people root for you. Like
Yep.
people want her to do it, to be
Mhm.
successful. And I think that's really incredible.
Yep.
But I think that's also, she's really likable. Like I
Mhm.
remember watching her on Love and Hip Hop, and I think there's just something about her that just makes you want to root for her and support her.
Mhm.
Randy says, as an artist, I have the laziest brand.
Yeah.
My art brand is taking long. Oh, you already said that.
Mhm. No, you're good.
um, yes, it's seven. Okay. Woo. Okay. So yeah, I just and again, it's like really no shade. Like I just honestly. Oh, Daniel says everyone is a brand. I think the people are looking for new lines of income. I know that's right.
That's
Get
that's
them, get
real.
Them, get them lines of income,
Ba-
extra stream income
Streams, baby, multiple streams.
And if you ever want us to sell something,
Right.
on Revolutionary Health, please let us know.
Right.
We'll completely for a small fee.
Yeah. That is so, but okay, so let's go into that because I do think that's a really good point, Daniel. Thank you so much for making it. I think what the beauty of the internet and social media specifically, what that has allowed people to do is use these powers that folks have in
Mhm.
unconventional ways. And the reality is there are folks that will pay for that.
Yeah.
And the folks who use their brand and have used social media successfully are those individuals that get and how to what they're selling and how to actually sell it.
Hmm.
So when I
Like
think,
they know their followers, like they know their
yes,
followers or their base,
yep,
so they actually know how to message it in a way that will make people want to buy into
yes,
whatever.
because I think that becomes the other key.
Yeah.
So when we talk about so when you talk about a brand, like when I was talking about the corporate brand, like part of that was, okay, does that have to do with wanting to move up in the corporate ladder? Right. So that also leads to some sort of income. So when I think about like a
Mm.
brand as entrepreneurs, when you're thinking about building like uh, they call it like not a social brand, but it was like a but when you're building one of those kinds of brands that's really based on like you
Like
and your
social
social
capital.
capital and being able to use your social capital. But when I think about building that sort of brand, it's also like, okay, how have I taken this thing that only I can do and figure out how to package it in a way that makes it something that people would actually pay me for.
And I see Michael Ward has joined us.
Hey,
Hey,
Michael.
Michael. I guess for artists, I imagine, are under a lot of pressure to be a brand. Like I imagine that people might even look at your like Twitter followers and your Facebook followers to even know if they should be bothered with you.
They do, and that's
Yeah.
and you know what? It's unfortunate. Like I've definitely had to resist. I understand the power of having more followers, Facebook,
Hmm.
Instagram, and Twitter. I definitely understand the power because the more people you have paying attention to you, that is the more opportunities you have to get something in front of them.
That's true. Like having a
So
platform.
it gives you the platform to be able to then get a return on that
So
platform.
that's why I know I'm not a brand because I don't have hardly any Twitter followers. Like
I'm not good at Twitter. So
I'm
Twitter
not
is
good
my
at Twitter either. I'm
least.
not good at any of it. Like I don't be knowing I'm doing half the time.
You're really good though. Like you
I don't think
understand
so. Oh
social media.
no. I mean, I'm good at it for counter narrative, but I'm not good at it
Okay.
for myself.
Yeah, like so yeah, so I mean you're definitely good. I think my IG, which makes sense because I'm a visual artist, but I had to figure that out. You remember when I was working through my Instagram and my Instagram was whack, and then I
Oh
had to
yeah.
figure it out, but I
Hmm.
had to curate it
Oh yeah.
in a particular way. So
My Instagram has gone through so many different iterations.
you have
Like at
gone
first, I
through
would, yeah, I still haven't decided how I want to do it.
change.
But I admire people that have really great, really strong brands, and they're really good at narrating their lives and their point of view. Like I really
Yeah,
admire that, or just like always have something to say. See, I don't be having stuff to say
that's me, and
often.
I need help. Like that's the other thing. That's like I don't always feel like what I have to say is important enough to do a Instagram story about.
I haven't even done that. I don't even know how to do that.
Instagram stories are
I
fun.
mean, I'm sure I could figure it out, but
Yeah,
I haven't even
it's
like I'm
fun.
not even into that yet.
I'm really into Instagram stories. But I don't always feel like what I have to say is worthy of it. Now, my business coach and my life coach, frankly, would be like, you need to Instagram story everything, all of it, in the car, doing the thing
See,
that you
that's too much. That's too
do.
much. Because I'm like,
And
how
I'm
do you
like, I
live your
don't have
life? Like, how do you have
time.
time? How do you experience the world if you're always looking behind the camera or you're always
Exactly.
thinking about? I mean, I don't know. I guess it's having balance, but Madonna Truth.
But Madonna Truth or Dare had a camera crew. If I had a crew, if I had somebody following
Oh,
me,
that was like the original confessional.
What's the question that what's the name asked you? He said, how do you live your life um when the camera's off, if the camera's always on?
Um,
oh,
What's the answer to that? Yeah. That
William
was for a
Beatty,
while too.
Warren
Warren Beatty.
Beatty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You got to know about Madonna and Warren
Yeah,
Beatty.
yep, Warren Beatty.
I,
That's a really
we need
good
to
question.
we need to rewatch that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess where I relate to that is for the I mean, being an activist, you are on often,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, okay. So I think so people sometimes I think are surprised when they think they have an idea of who I am because of I guess maybe they read something I wrote or they might have
Mm-hmm.
seen me on a panel,
Mm-hmm.
and then they get to meet me and they realize, oh, they might have met me a deeper
Deeper
love.
love. Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I'm different, but I think people sometimes think that I'm always like serious and I'm
Mm-hmm.
always they have to walk on it. They're scared they might say something and all wrong. And I'm like, mm-mm. But I think it's a lot of pressure to just always, I think, see yourself that way. But I mean, if you're good at it, I mean, that's your, I mean, some people really are very, and it's maybe seamless.
Absolutely.
It's very, I imagine it's very seamless.
And I mean, the reality too of this is it is actually a job. So
yeah, that's true.
So
that's that's what some people call it. That it's like they almost like they clock in.
They clock in
and then they clock out.
And then they clock out. So I think what I will say though, you know, as we I think Randy mentioned earlier that reality TV has made it such that everybody thinks that they can do it. And I think that the thing that I would say for folks is to, okay, if this is something, if this is a path that you want to go down, like what is it that you're trying to do? Like what ultimately is like, there's a strategy.
But how's our grasp of reality? Because I think our reality TV, a lot of them are playing characters.
Right.
I mean, to this day, I still don't know if Kirk and Rashida, if that's real or if that's fake.
Right.
I Love and Hip Hop, like I can't tell because
right.
I think sometimes, I mean, I think this is why like Love and Hip Hop is what, like I think it's called
scripted reality
or something like. But I'm like, do you not get disoriented if your brand is a character that you're playing? Do you not get disoriented?
Right.
It just seems like it would be really like how, and then you have children, so do you sit them down and be like, okay, we're just acting,
right.
you know? I know with Candy in particular on Real Housewives, I know that was a particular issue for her when they were, you know, when she went through the whole accusations about, you know, the stuff with her. She was like, I have children that are watching this. You're accusing me of this horrible thing.
Right.
So I imagine this. And then a lot of them don't even get paid that much too.
Ooh, that's real.
But I just want to throw my drink in someone's face, and I want to be in a confessional. Like that's all I want to do.
Can you imagine if there was like confessionals on the streets of Atlanta that you could just walk into?
And another thing, I'm the Georgia Peach,
right?
You know,
they better keep their name out my mouth.
Exactly.
So I do think though that brings up an interesting point. Is you know, I do think in a lot of cases we've turned the corner on. There used to be like art imitates life, but I do think that we do live a life imitates art in so many instances now. And
but you know, I never wanted to be a celebrity. Did you ever want to be famous? Did you have that dream?
Only when I was super young. When I was young enough to be naive enough to think that that was a good idea. And then what happened was I started to meet celebrities when I was doing my music stuff when I was in college, and I was like, I don't want to be that. That's not what I want to be.
I'm not gonna ask who.
No, it was no one in particular. It was like across the board. It was like, I have no interest in doing that.
But you know, one of the ways that I have become more compassionate, I guess, for people in the public eye is, I mean, I guess they have bad days. So like when people come up to them and want to like engage them, sometimes they don't want to be bothered, and sometimes, you know, they could be going through stuff too. And I think that people can be very entitled around people's space, with like famous people, and you know, and I mean, everyone's human, everyone has feelings. So I think about that a lot. So usually times when I see people, I don't even bother them because I'm like, I don't.
I'm same way.
I don't know.
And I actually think, you know, there are folks who are in our spaces, who we see on a regular basis, but are also have really successful brands. I do think it is important for us to have empathy for what that can be, because there are times when I'm sure that, you know, if they have a huge following on social media and on Twitter, that people recognize them.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, you may think that you know how folks will react to that, but you also don't. So we do have to have some empathy for folks, because the reality is, listen, if you're building your brand and you are like killing the game with it, I want you to win. I want you to get that coin however you're going to get it.
Johnnie, you're such a capitalist.
Listen. I mean, it is, if that's going to be the job and that's the job that you select, amazing. It's just okay. Like if folks like, I want to go down this path of being this brand, what is that brand?
Well, Michael Gibson just asked, how has CMP intentionally developed its brand?
Ooh,
we haven't really. Like, you know, I still see us as being a bunch of creatives, a bunch of Black creatives just trying to do interesting stuff. Like, I mean, I know there perhaps is a CMP brand in the sense that we have a logo and we have, branding materials. But I mean, honestly, when I think about CMP, I just think about a group of creatives in jeans and in sneakers, just trying to figure out how to like save our, just how to, help our brothers and just do creative stuff.
Keep it intentional about what you choose to
Yeah.
promote, about what you do.
Well, Alvin, that's why when you can't be in the documentary talking about counter narrative, you can't be in CMP Unsung. Alvin's gonna be trying to tell my business. I'm like, no, that's not true.
Alvin is our producer, and so you hear his voice come in.
And anything he ever tells you about me is absolutely false. He's known me for like 30 years. So like he's one of those people like, God, he's known me for too long. Non-disclosure.
But I do think, thank you, Michael, for that question. I do think yes to all the things that you said, Charles. And in addition, so much of our brand is built on uh, the love for the community and the love for the history and the blueprints as the foundation. So if there's one thing that I could say that has aided us in building the brand, it's staying true to that part.
But see, I don't think about the brand as much as I think about our core values. So a lot of times when we make choices, I don't think, is this consistent with our brand? I think, is this consistent with our core values?
Yes.
And really holding on to that. Art Jackson, hey Art, says the development of CMP has been great. I love seeing its growth. And Art, thank you for being a part of its growth. I really just appreciate your amazing support for the Counter Narrative Project. Michael Ward says, now when I go to acting auditions and model castings, they always ask for social media handles to check out your brand and fan base. Oh, that's a mess.
But check it out. Michael said, Michael, it's the same in publishing and journalism for freelancers.
Really? So they check your socials before they publish you?
I've had,
like, Toni Morrison could have had 5 Facebook, Twitter followers back in the day, and they wouldn't publish her because she wasn't popping on social media. That I'm telling you, it's the devil.
I've had amazing, like, people who do amazing work in the city of Atlanta and have just amazing followings who was just saying recently, like, people are reaching out to do stuff, but they immediately want to see your social media. And it's like, we've been doing some of the biggest events.
Say no. I wouldn't let them see you can't see my social media. How about that? It's personal.
How do we change that narrative? That is, to that point, like,
although I do know, at least for the last 10 years, when people like hire you, like on jobs and stuff, they will check their social media.
I used to. I started checking people's social media the moment social media hit the game. So in the early 2000s,
you're on like College Club in my Bitster,
no,
MySpace.
College Club had kind of gone by the wayside, but there was Friendster. There was MySpace.
Friendster was my favorite.
Yep, there was Friendster. There was MySpace.
I loved early 2000s Facebook. That was my favorite Facebook.
So, and that's still true now. So I do tell folks, as it relates to your social media in any way, shape, or form, like, be mindful.
They check those pictures.
They check your pictures.
They Google you.
Absolutely. And Google yourself. Quite frankly, if you're watching this show and you have not Googled yourself, Google yourself.
I think I'm scared too. I'm always like a little scared to like Google myself.
Really? I mean, you have like your articles come up, like you have really cool stuff that come.
Googling me?
Well, we have I mean, because we got to know when counter narrative stuff comes out, when people are talking about Charles Stevens. So I've Googled you and Googled me, and
what comes up when they Google you?
Now that comes up, hopefully it is my portfolio.
Let's
site.
check. I'm gonna Google.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm really curious. We're now Googling Johnnie
Kornegay.
Johnnie Kornegay.
Right now.
Look, counter narrative project static.com.
We got to go on the news.
Oh, look. Oh, pictures that I took.
Oh, you're in Days. You're in Days.
Yep, but the fat census. This is my work, y'all. My work is coming up.
Wow.
My pictures.
Awesome. You have a lot of stuff.
Johnnie Ray. Oh, look, visual installation by Johnnie Kornegay. Look
at you. Well, this,
okay.
but you're probably also not the mom,
I'm excited. I had never checked news.
Oh, you got to check the news. You got to check Google Scholar. You got to check like all the ways that people could be dragging you.
Google Scholar, by the way, is a thing. I learned that from Charles. I didn't know that. I was like, oh, they have a scholarly search.
You just never know.
You never know.
It is like right at time, and I know Alvin is giving us the signal, but thank you so much for joining us. Again, if you're watching this on Facebook, please comment, keep the conversation going. And we want to know, like, how have you built your brand? If you're an influencer, how did you make that happen, and what's been some of the lessons you've learned? I imagine a lot of folks are very interested in trying to figure out like what it means to brand oneself.
Mhm.
And if you have insights to share, please do in the comments. Also, again, make sure you join our email list
Yes,
at
please.
thecounternarrative.org. It's the website has just
It's
we did a refresh,
refreshed.
so check it
Check
out.
it out.
Check it out. And yeah, if you have thoughts and ideas about the counter narrative brand, please feel free to share. We'd appreciate hearing your feedback. So, and folks in the comments, our other panelists that are in the comments, thank you for your amazing comments. And with that, we will see you. What's our topic next week, Johnny? Put you on the spot. Put you on the spot.
We are
We're
off next week.
Well, probably because it's my birthday.
Yes,
and I said
it's Charles's birthday.
I'm not working
next
on my
week.
birthday next
So
week.
we are off next week.
The big 3-8.
Yeah.
And then after that, we come back on the 22nd, and
Yes.
it's going to be your physical.
My physical. So yes, on August 22nd, I will be getting an actual physical
on Revolutionary Health Live
on Revolutionary Health
with Dr. David.
It's really serious, y'all. Like, it's not going to be no faking. Like, we're going to go through it with Dr. David.
Yeah, well, he's getting the physical.
I'm getting the physical. So, and we wanted to talk about this because it's important. Many of us either haven't been through a physical or it's been some time, and I haven't had a physical in a while. So we're actually going to do that live. So please come back on the 22nd and be with us.
All right, y'all. Until next time.
Peace.